Hello everyone. Welcome to this series of lectures on the course Calculus and Numerical Methods. This is continuation of part 5, Algebra of Convergent Sequences, that we started with in the last lecture. So in the last lecture we proved that if xn converges to x and yn converges to y, then their sum will converge to the sum of their limits, and alpha xn will converge to alpha into x. So these two properties are left now, which I will cover up in this lecture. I have to show that xn into yn, the product of these two sequences, will converge to the product of their limits. Okay, so let's see how to go about that. So we are given that the sequence xn converges to x and the sequence yn converges to the point y. Right, so this is property number 3. Supposing epsilon is some positive which is given to us, any positive number you pick up, and our claim here is that the sequence x and yn converges to the product of their limits, that is x into y. Right, so we are given that xn converges to x and yn converges to y, so let's make use of those conditions. So since xn converges to x, by definition, for epsilon positive, I can find a natural number n1 such that for all n bigger than or equal to this n1, xn minus x will be less than epsilon. Sorry, this is x. So xn minus x is less than epsilon. So this epsilon, I'm not sure now what I have to pick up, so that I will come to know at the last stage. Right, so let me keep this epsilon in the red box just as an indicator to show that it may change. Okay. Similarly, since yn converges to the point y, I can find a natural number n2, small n2 I've picked up, small n1 and small n2, such that for all n bigger than or equal to this n2, this difference yn minus y is less than epsilon. Again, I'm not very sure whether I need epsilon or I need to modify this. So let me keep that in a red box for now. Okay. So I need one natural number for which both the conditions work. And we have already come across such situations before. So what we do, we choose some notation I need, let's say n naught, say, to be maximum of, or you can say n only, let's keep it simple, maximum of n1 and n2. Okay, then for this capital N, both the conditions are going to work, right? So for all n bigger than or equal to this natural number capital N, xn minus x will be less than epsilon. Again, I'm not sure about this quantity. And yn minus y will be less than epsilon. Again, I'm not very sure about this quantity. So let's keep them on hold for now. Now, this was given to us, xn converges to x, yn converges to y, right? Now, we want to prove that x and yn converges to xy. That means I have to look at the estimate x and yn minus xy. I have to estimate this, right? So I have to estimate now x and yn minus xy. Now I know that xn minus x can be made less than epsilon, and yn minus y can also be made less than some epsilon, right? So these two I have. I can mark this condition as something, let's say star. Then somehow I need to get these terms here, xn minus x and yn minus y. If you can see here in the first one, I already have yn there, or you can pick up xn. I'm picking up yn. Okay, this term is already there. Now if I want y somehow there, so if I subtract by xn minus y there, then I can take xn common from here and I will end up with yn minus y somehow, right? And because I am subtracting this term, I have to add that term also. So let me add that x and y, and minus xy is already there. So from here, if I take y common now, I'll end up with x and minus x, and I'm getting both these quantities, x and minus x and y and minus y, whose estimates I already have, right? So this tells me that I need to add this term and subtract this term. Okay, so this is my rough work. Let me keep this aside. So this is nothing but x and y, and I will add the term x and y, subtract the term and add it x and y, and then minus xy. Okay, so this is the term which I am highlighting in red, which I have added and subtracted. Add and subtract that. And now you can rewrite this as, you can take xn common, so that will be xn times yn minus y, plus from here you can take y common, and you will have xn minus x with you, right? Now again, this is, if you consider this as a and this as b, it is of the form mod a plus b, and by triangle inequality this is less than or equal to mod a, that is modulus of xn into yn minus y, plus mod b, that is modulus of y into xn minus x, right? This is by triangle inequality. Clear? And then I can use the property mod ab is mod a into mod b. So this will be equal to, I can distribute this mod xn into mod yn minus y, plus mod y into mod xn minus x. This is what I have at this stage. All right. Now if you go back and see, I already have the estimate for xn minus x and yn minus y, right? So these two things are taken care of. I don't have to worry about these two. Again, this mod y is a real number, so I can adjust that, when with this epsilon here. So this is also taken care of. The problem right now is this mod xn. Do I have any estimate for this mod xn? That is what I have to look out for now, because other things can be taken care of. Okay. Now, so let me call this as, so finally what I have here is, I can write it down. Let me write in white. Mod xn yn minus xy is less than or equal to this quantity, mod xn into mod yn minus y, plus mod y into mod xn minus x, right? So I'll call this as double star. So I need some estimate for mod xn. Now if you go back and see, xn is given to be convergent sequence. So since xn is convergent, we have done a result which says every convergent sequence is bounded, right? If you pick up any convergent sequence, that has to be bounded. So because xn is convergent, therefore xn is bounded. And what do you mean by xn is bounded? This means there exists a real number k such that absolute value of all the terms of the sequence are less than or equal to this k for all natural numbers n, right? This is by definition of the bounded sequences. It's already done in the previous lectures. Okay, so if you don't remember, please go back and check that out. So that means this is working for all the natural numbers. So definitely it will work for all the natural numbers bigger than or equal to capital N, because anyways it is working for all the natural numbers, right? So that won't make a difference now. So now what are the things I have to look out for? See, if you look at the expression double star, finally I have sum of two terms, right? I have sum of two terms there. this is one term and this is the second term. Two terms I added, and at the end I need epsilon. So I want this first term to be less than epsilon by 2 and second one also to be less than epsilon by 2. So finally I get epsilon. Clear? If I had three terms here, then I would have uh, considered epsilon by 3, epsilon by 3 and epsilon by 3, so that their sum comes to epsilon at the end. Fine. So mod yn minus y, that is less than epsilon, and this mod xn here is less than or equal to k, right? So this will be less than or equal to k and this is epsilon here. So I will have something of this type there. So that first part will be less than or equal to k times epsilon, and finally I need epsilon by 2. So what I'll have to do, I don't want this k, so definitely below epsilon I need a k. K is a natural number, so I'm safe to divide with k, right? And I need epsilon by 2 also, so I can take this quantity to be epsilon by 2k, so that k goes off with k and I'm left with epsilon by 2, right? So what are the changes that we are going to make here? So this epsilon I will change it to this one, 2k. Okay, so this, even this one here will be less than 2k. I hope that's clear. So the first quantity is sorted out. I will get epsilon by 2 from the first quantity. What about the second half? Mod xn minus x, that is less than epsilon, right? And what I have with me is mod y into epsilon, that will be strictly less than this. Now this is strict inequality here, so I need 2 definitely, so 2 should be there, and I don't want this y, but I simply cannot divide by y here because y can be 0. Y is a real number, so there is a possibility of y being 0. So I'll have to add 1 to this y as we had done in the second property, and then mod y by mod y plus 1, this will be less than or equal to 1, and this will be less than or equal to epsilon by 2, and finally I'll get epsilon by 2 from here and here, and that will add up to epsilon. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do now. So by hence, so I have to change that epsilon there. First let me change that. Yes, so this has to be here 2 times mod y plus 1. Okay, so to guess this, we have to go to the last stage first and then come back here. Otherwise, you have no idea what kind of number you need there. So this will be 2 times mod y plus 1. Okay, so these are chosen in such a way that at the end I get epsilon, right? Therefore, substituting in double star, what do I get? Or I can combine all of these statements. Let me say, therefore, by I will call this as triple star. So by star, double star and triple star, what I have? So by double star, I have xn yn minus xy, that is less than or equal to mod xn into mod yn minus y plus mod y into mod xn minus x. Now, if you look at triple star, from here I can say that mod xn is less than or equal to k, right? So I will implement this and I will leave the other two things as it is. So this particular step is by triple star, right? And now I will implement from star these two things, right? So mod yn minus 1 is mod yn minus y is less than, so this will be strictly less than, this k is here, so that is less than epsilon by 2 times k, and here this is mod y into this is strictly less than epsilon by 2 times mod y plus 1. This works only for natural numbers which are bigger than or equal to capital A. Okay, so this is by star. Is that star? Yeah, I guess that's star. Yes, that's expression star here. So using those two expressions in this, we finally have this. So you can cancel off k with k, and that will give you epsilon by 2. In fact, here it will be less than or equal to, because mod y by mod y plus 1 will be less than or equal to 1. This is since mod y upon mod y plus 1 is less than or equal to 1. Okay, it is strictly less than 1 actually. I can put the strict inequality there. Yes, that's strict. And here also I can do the same thing. I can say that it is strictly less than this, and this turns out to be epsilon. Okay, so this works only for natural numbers greater than or equal to capital N, for all n bigger than or equal to capital. So finally what we have done is, we managed to show that this difference can be made less than epsilon after a certain stage. So given epsilon positive, there exists a natural number capital N such that for all n bigger than or equal to this capital N, xn yn minus xy is less than epsilon. And this confirms that the product x and y will converge to the product of their limits, that is x into y. Okay, so this is how you show that product of two sequences will converge to the product of their respective limits, and that proves the third one, that is here. So the third one is done, and we are only left with the last one now. We have to show that 1 by xn converges to the point 1 by x, provided x is not equal to 0. Okay, so let's look at that. Yes, so fourth one I will start from here. Third one is done here, completed, and fourth one. Our claim is the sequence 1 by xn converges to 1 by x. Right? So we have to estimate this quantity. So let epsilon greater than 0 be any given arbitrary point. So we have to estimate this minus this. So let's look at that. 1 by xn minus 1 by x. Let's simplify this. So this will be cross multiplying will give me x minus xn upon modulus of xn into x. Distribute the modulus to the numerator and the denominator. So that will give you this, right? Now let me keep this together for now. Yeah, and this is same as, I can reverse their order because they are under modulus, that will remain the same. And here I can distribute these two. I can distribute the modulus to both of them. Right? So this is what I have. Now let's see what we can do with this. I already have an estimate for this because xn converges to the point x. So after a certain stage, this could be made less than epsilon. So no worries about this. We only have to worry about these two terms. Okay, so what will happen to mod x and mod xn? Mod x is a non-negative real number. Sorry, non-zero real number. X is non-zero. Right? Then only I can talk about 1 by x. Then only it will make sense. So mod x is some real number which is non-zero, so that won't worry me. So I don't have to worry about these two terms. I will get some estimates for it. Only thing is mod of xn. Okay, 1 by mod of xn, in fact. Now, in one of the lectures earlier, I had done one result which said if xn converges to, I will put that in white, since xn converges to x and x is non-zero, okay, then there exists one natural number, let me call it some m1 say. There exists a natural number m1 such that for all n bigger than or equal to this m1, modulus of xn will be greater than mod x by 2. This is what we did in one of the lectures earlier. Okay, so if you cannot recollect, please go back and check this out. So this tells me that after a certain stage, after the natural number m1, when m1 is here, let's say 0 is here, when you look at the numbers m1 plus 1, m2 plus 1, all these numbers, for these numbers, this condition will work. That is, mod xn will be greater than mod x by 2. So this implies for all n bigger than or equal to this m1, I can transfer these terms, I can cross multiply. So 2 will go in the numerator this side, mod x will come down. X is non-zero, so mod x is non-zero, so I can divide by mod x, no issues. So that will be greater than 1 by mod xn, right? That means after this number m1, 1 by mod xn will be less than 2 by mod x. So I can write it in the reverse way. If you want to look at it that way, I can put it down. 1 by mod xn is less than 2 by mod x, right? So let me call this as, let's say, 1, Roman number 1. I'll be using this. Okay, so also, yeah, so this is taken care of now, 1 by mod xn. I only have to look at this, and this I'll get from convergence. That's easy, that we have been doing now again and again. Also, xn converges to x. Therefore, there exists a natural number, let me call it m2, such that for all natural numbers bigger than or equal to m2, xn minus x can be made as small as we like. For any epsilon, I can make this to be less than epsilon. Right, so I may have to change this again, so let me put that in red to be on the safer side. In this condition now, I will mark that as 2, Roman number 2. So that's my expression number 2. So expression number 1 works after the natural number m1, and the second one works after the natural number m2, and I want both of them to work simultaneously. So what do we do as usual? You choose capital M to be maximum of m1 and m2. Okay, and for all n bigger than or equal to this maximum, now both these conditions will work. That is, 1 by mod xn will be strictly less than 2 by mod x, that is condition number 1, and along with this, mod xn minus x can be made less than epsilon. I am not very sure about this term. Okay, so this we can modify later on depending upon our requirement. Right, so this I will name as expression number 3. So for this m, for all natural numbers bigger than or equal to this capital M, both these conditions are working true. Now what I need, I'll go back to this estimate. We showed that this is equal to this expression. That's what we got, right? So 1 by xn mod of that. So therefore, modulus of 1 by xn minus 1 by x. This is equal to mod xn minus x upon this is mod xn into mod x, right? Now 1 by xn, that is strictly less than 2 by mod x, right? So that is strictly less than this quantity 1 by mod xn, 2 by mod x, and these things I'll keep as it is for now. Okay, and this works for all n bigger than or equal to n1. In fact, I can directly put them. Okay, no need to put it separately. So this term 1 by mod xn is less than 2 by mod x from here, and mod xn minus x is less than epsilon, right? But finally I need epsilon, and 1 mod x was already there. Okay, so this mod x is already there. I have 2 by mod x here, and epsilon is there, and 1 2 is there. Finally I need epsilon. That means everything should cancel out. So I have 2 in the numerator, so I'll have to put 2 in the denominator of epsilon. I have mod x into mod x, that is mod x the whole square, and that is in the denominator. So I will have to put mod x the whole square here in the numerator. So this is the quantity which I need from this guy. It has to be less than this. Then only this will turn out to be epsilon. If you see now, mod x will cancel out both, and 2 will go off. And this works for all natural numbers greater than or equal to m. Okay. So that's how it works. So I have to go back and change it wherever I have used it. Where it had come, convergence part came here. So this has to be mod x the whole square into epsilon by 2. And again here it has to be epsilon into mod x the whole square, and this you divide by 2. Right? So finally what we have done is, we have found a natural number capital M such that 1 by xn minus 1 by xm x is less than epsilon for all natural numbers greater than or equal to capital M. So you can put that down. Therefore, given epsilon positive, there exists a natural number capital M such that for all natural numbers bigger than or equal to this capital M, 1 by xn minus 1 by x is less than epsilon. And that proves that the sequence 1 by xn converges to 1 by x. Right? So 1 by xn converges to 1 by x. Alright, so this proves the fourth property, and we have proved all the 4 properties which are very useful when you are solving problems, and in many exercises you can use these, so they have lots of applications. Alright, so I'll end this session here, and these are my references. Thank you.